Clayton always does this. I told him yesterday I was coming on purpose, and somehow I still ended up introducing somebody. But I count it as an honor. I'm definitely so glad to see so many people here. This is absolutely incredible. It's encouraging. I just talked to Clayton. We talk a couple times a month, but I was telling him about some of the things we have going on out there, and this encourages me that we're going in the right direction on the other side of town. It has been said that the distracted will detour, but the focus will arrive at their destination on time. Dylan showed us the importance of having the right address. But today I have the privilege of introducing one of the many who have done just that. He was born and raised in Mobile, Alabama by a single mother, Marilyn McMillan. He knows what hard work and determination truly means. He has great respect for his mother and tries to live by what she instilled in him. In 2008, he graduated with honors from Baker High School in Mobile. While in high school, he was the head drum major of the largest marching band for the city for 2 years, class president and president of the Peer Counselor Association. He was the first vice president of the Alpha Elite Service Organization. He was also the first African American to be crowned Mr. Baker High School. He later enrolled in Tuskegee University, where he majored in English and participated in many organizations such as the NAACP, Golden Voices Concert Choir, English Club, Alpha Kappa Mu Honor Society, Laser Orientation Leader, and the Alabama Club, just to name a few. Following in the giant footsteps of the great Tuskegee man himself, Booker T. Washington, Mark pledged Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and was initiated into the Gamma Phi chapter at Tuskegee. Through his fraternity, Mark donated countless hours to serving his community and campus through mentoring the next generation and hosting events that will provide a better quality of life for all. It was during the 2011-2012 school year where he earned the coveted crown and title of Mr. Tuskegee University. He stood on the platform of leaving a mark. In 2012, McMillan graduated magna cum laude with a 3.7 GPA, and today his life has come full circle. He is now a high school teacher, a high school English teacher in Montgomery County Public Schools, and he's leaving a mark on the next generation of leaders. There are 3 principles that Mr. McMillan holds dear to his heart: faith, hope, and love. He lives by the words of his fraternity brother, Dr. King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce to you Mark McMillan.
A test of a man is the fight that he makes, the grit that he daily shows, the way he stands upon his feet and takes life's numerous bumps and blows. A coward can smile when there's not to fear and noting his progress bars, but it takes a man to stand and cheer while the other fellow stars. It isn't about the victory after all, but it's the fight that the brother makes. A man, when driven against the wall, still stands erect and takes the blows of fate. With his head held high, bleeding, bruised, and pale, is the man who will win and fate defied, for he isn't afraid to fail. Because if you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you're not, you don't. If you like to win but think you can't, there's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you lose, you've lost. For out in the world you'll find that success begins in a fellow's will. It's all in your state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you ever win a prize. Because life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man. But sooner or later, the man who will win is the man who thinks he can. So what do you think? Do you think that you can pass this test that we call life? I oftentimes ask my students, what is life? This ever-perplexing question always seems to find its way stuck in the human mind and searching for a desperate answer. As I stare in the confused faces of all of my students, it never ceases to amaze me that here we are living life every single day in all of these experiences, and no one can do this question justice. Because if I were to attempt to answer this deep philosophical question, someone will debate my answer. So I can only answer this question: what is my life? And you can only answer this question: what is your life? I consider my life to be a test. Some questions might be multiple choice, while others might be fill in the blank. But here lately, my life has been asking me these long, drawn-out essay questions that require deep thought, heavy concentration, and careful wording. There have been times where this test seemed as if it had defeated me. It has knocked me on my knees at times, but while I was on my knees, that was a perfect position or situation to pray. While I was down, I had a lot of time to think more about those hard questions that life was throwing at me. I couldn't help but remember when I was online with my 24 line brothers that a test of a man is just a fight that he makes, that sooner or later, the man who will win is the man who thinks he can. So after I had a little time to think about these hard questions, I got up and decided that I have to succeed. It doesn't matter what obstacles were in my way, because I was going to overcome them anyway. It didn't matter who was in my way, because I would have to remove them from my life, because my life is my test, and my test is my fight. This fight has knocked me down several times, but it didn't take me out. Life has disciplined me to the point to where I have to have steadfast faith, humble diligence, and quiet courage. Life has thrown hard questions at me, questions like my father leaving his family when I was 5 years old. He left an 8-month pregnant wife, 5-year-old son, and a 2-year-old daughter in the January cold. Those are some of the questions that life has asked me. Imagine life asking you to handle a situation where your grandfather has died when you were 14 years old, and that was the only male figure in your life. You all see, I don't have to imagine that because life really did ask me that. Life has asked me to deal with peer pressure, trying to be cool. Life has asked me to deal with sex, drugs, and money. Life has been testing me. But a test of a man is the fight that he makes, the grit that he daily shows. I was strong enough to say no to most of it, but the questions that I did answer yes to, life taught me some valuable lessons, because life just doesn't test us. Life does teach us lessons along the way. Any good teacher knows that you should design a test that challenges the students, but the test should also prepare these students for life. You might have failed at some questions in the past, but remember that the teacher looks at the whole test. If you miss question number 1, it doesn't mean you have to miss question 100, because there should have been a learning experience from 1 to 100. That is why I tell my students that it doesn't matter where you come from, but it does matter where you're going. That you're not a product of your environment, but you are a product of the environment that you cultivate for yourself. So what happened yesterday really shouldn't affect today, because what happened yesterday has taught me how to handle today. So I tell my students, don't worry about the final score, but worry about what you've learned to earn that final score. So I'm not so much concerned about my destination in life, but I am concerned about my journey in life. My teacher is God, and God has taught me some valuable lessons. And when God, our teacher, sees that you can handle and apply what he has been teaching you, he will put you in certain positions to help you show others how to take this test we call life. My fellow classmates, we're all in this test together. I know that our teacher has put certain people in certain positions to tutor us for this test. Our goal in life is to find favor in our teacher. And the best way to do that is to study, to show ourselves approved, and to do well on this test. Brothers such as Clayton Muhammad has been placed strategically by our teacher to help tutor our young men to pass this test that we call life. And when we understand that our teacher puts certain men in certain situations and positions, these men, they have to love and they have to care because they want to see everyone pass the test. So when the students seem like they're going to fail, they can remember what the teacher said. There are a lot of people that God places in our lives to help us along the way in this test. For me, I had a praying grandmother, a strong and devoted mother, courageous brothers and sisters that are here with me tonight, my 24 line brothers, all of my fraternity brothers, my classmates from Tuskegee and Baker High School. So I ask you tonight, what is life? Or a better question would be, what is your life? Because the test that I'm taking is not the same test that you have to take. And any good teacher walks around the classroom to make sure that you're taking your test. Because if you're looking to the left or to the right, copying down someone else's answers, you're limiting to what God wants to do in you. So if you're wondering if your teacher is around, just remember that the teacher is always quiet during the test. I consider myself a good teacher, and I tell my students not to worry, not to fret, because I have prepared them well. You all call me a phenomenal man. I call myself a fighter. You all call me a phenomenal man. I just call myself humble. You all call me a phenomenal man. I just call myself a man who's found grace. You all call me a phenomenal man, but I'm just an ordinary man doing extraordinary things. You all call me a phenomenal man, but I'm just a man who has made up in his mind that he has to succeed. So a test of a man is the fight that he makes and the grit that he daily shows. Because sooner or later, the man who will win is simply the man who thinks he can.